we've literally just seen a tweet from Fabrizio Romano that says Jordan Henderson has accepted Al-Ettifaq proposal. There's verbal agreement in principle, contract agreed. Deal now depends on Liverpool and Al-Ettifaq discussing on the fee. No chance to let him leave for free. Hendo spoke to Klopp today, and there's green light. There's obviously a bunch of other things around this, which I'm not sure how relevant they will be if this is where this is now kind of progressing to. But it feels like this hasn't taken long, Dan. We've kind of gone from it. It was conversations being had behind the scenes at best. Mm-hmm. Then it was, there's no bids, and this kind of implies there isn't really that just yet either. We've then seen that they wanted to get him on a free transfer, but Liverpool were having none of it. Then there was talk from Romano that it would be 10 million. Mm-hmm. And then following on from that, we've seen Dominic King say, important point to make about Henderson, no fee was set by Liverpool. They wouldn't be divulged, and you can be sure that 10 million won't be a realistic figure. Mel Reddy has then followed up by saying, they would expect double the 10 million fee being reported, given 2 years left on his contract. Status as captain England international. Al Ali's 30 million valuation of Riyad Mahrez would be a reference point. I guess I'll just start with the sort of reaction to it all, and we'll work our way out from there.
Yeah, I'm pretty staggered by it, to be honest with you. I didn't expect this at all. And you're right, it has moved incredibly fast, almost suspiciously fast in many senses. I remember when the Thiago stuff emerged sort of last week, and it was made pretty abundantly clear that the Saudi clubs wouldn't make any move of any concrete nature for someone like Thiago, or indeed Jordan Henderson, if it wasn't made clear that they were also keen on going the other way. And clearly that's happened with Henderson. Clearly he's had conversations that have implied that he would be open to the idea of joining Gerrard out there. So that's disappointing in its own right, I guess. And the whole thing's a little bit disappointing, to be honest with you, because we sort of joked before we went live about, we started the week with Jordan Henderson, best shape of his life, very much the Liverpool captain, sort of looking forward to the pre-season, getting back into training, all that sort of stuff. We're flying out to Germany on Saturday, and now we're sat here questioning if he's even going to be on that flight. Like, it's a real turn of events, and it's a colossal one as well, because Jurgen Klopp will have made plans for this season with Jordan Henderson very much at the forefront of him. So to be even having this discussion so close to pre-season is gutting for me, because I don't expect it, and it's not the sort of turmoil you want. Whatever you think about Jordan Henderson, whether you want him to stay at the club, whether you want him to be a part of what happens next year, different conversation. What we don't need is this distraction going into something so crucial. So I'm really disappointed by it all, to be honest with you, for many reasons. But overall, my primary focus is what it means for Liverpool. And I think this close to pre-season, this is a real mess that we didn't need.
Chris?
Dumbfounded would be the word that sort of I have to use for how I felt yesterday. I sort of talked it through on a fan interactive show, and I came to the realisation that I'm okay with him leaving. Mm-hmm. Like, take out where he's going, and I don't think this is a problem at all, to be honest with you. I understand every one of Dan's points, by the way, and totally understand that, right now, if Liverpool weren't planning for Jordan Henderson to be here, it's not a good situation for them to be in. They have to recover that losses or whatever that is, or in terms of the stability going into next season. But you're talking about a 33-year-old player who has a waning influence on the side in footballing terms, moving for money for a start. And we know that Liverpool, I believe, were needing to clear space in the midfield to get new midfielders in. Take out where he's going and what he stood for in the past, and that's a very sensible situation for Liverpool to deal with. You know what I mean? It's we've said for a year we need to change the midfield. We're changing the midfield.
Let's just pull at this thread for a minute, because I think you kind of broadly covered it all, Dan, and I want to touch on the moral implications of all this. We'll come to that, but we're doing the football side, so let's stick with the football side for the moment. Can
I finish me first? So I think, I sort of came to the understanding that Liverpool might need to take a step back to take a step forwards here, and that ultimately is what it's about. It's about getting better as a football team and a football club, and at some point you have to move on the older players. We've already spoken about how it was a bit silly what we did with Sadio Mane, although we did get money for him. It was a little bit silly what we did with Roberto Firmino. It looked like that might go the same way with Matip, Thiago, Jordan Henderson as well. That's not happened. Now, I understand his influence on this squad more than probably, or the same as everybody else. I really do understand that, and I thank him for his service to the football club. But getting rid of a 33-year-old for money and getting a young lad in, even if, let's say we use Lavia, right? No, not the replacement. Not as good a player as Jordan Henderson is today, but the potential's there to get better. And you might get a better player than Lavia anyway. So yeah, I think regrettably, I understand the decision by him, football in terms of getting more game time, and by Liverpool of football in terms of taking a step back to go 3 forwards.
I think, you're right. There's something that I've got no issues whatsoever with us moving 33-year-old players on. My concern is, I think it's quite mad that this feels a little like a bit of history repeating itself. Footballers have this problem sometimes, and it happens at Liverpool a lot. Where, and I didn't think Jordan Henderson would be guilty of this idea of I want to still play 40, 50 games a season, and this is where Gerrard fucked it. Was he decided he couldn't envisage a world where Steven Gerrard was sat playing on the bench for Liverpool, and almost like the embarrassment back then. I don't think Jordan Henderson will have it exactly like that, but I'd have thought that the opportunities that Gerrard actually ends up missing out on, he has a much harder time in the MLS than I think he thinks he's going to have, almost damages his long-term legacy as a footballer as well by going over there, because he doesn't then get to go over there and have any great highlight reels. He doesn't get to go over and dominate the MLS, and then you go, wow, what a great thing it was that he went and did. No one remembers what he did. Playing in the MLS for LA Galaxy. So yeah, I'm a little concerned on Jordan Henderson doing that. If that he's obviously he must have been told and sold something about the levels or the football or whatever. And obviously there's the money side of things, which will be a thing. But my concern on it, I think, because I agree with the chain thing is fine. But my overall concern is you've lost Milner, you lose Henderson. I don't hold this with Fabinho the same way that I do with Henderson. I think Fabinho's more of a no-brainer than Jordan Henderson in some regards, but it's what's left. We've gone from having too many old lads and too many young lads to now there's going to be no old lads, and I think that's just as bad for balance as what we've had previously, because all of a sudden, who are the leaders? I mean, I got asked the question on the live show earlier. Who should be the captain? Well, Van Dijk. Are you happy with Van Dijk being the captain? And I'm not overly happy with the idea of Van Dijk being our captain every week. And who's there to step up? Trent for me, but then beyond that. So I think there's more to it. I agree with this. If he was just a generic footballer, and this is my point on Fabinho, get a good fee for Fabinho and move him on as long as you spend that money right. But the Henderson thing, I'm worried. What worries me is what we're losing in terms of the overall shit that no one's ever been able to measure of Jordan Henderson. Don't know what anyone thinks on that.
Go on, Chris, there you go, mate.
Yeah, I think for me, I totally understand everybody's feelings around that and fears around losing Jordan Henderson because of the influence that he's had in a summer where you've lost James Milner already. Those two have set the level now for countless years. Since 2015, the two of them have set the level, essentially. So 8 years of them two setting the tempo. I will say, though, that Liverpool is chock full of leaders at a good age. You know, Mohamed Salah's a good age, Alisson's a good age, Andy Robertson's a great age, all captain material, Virgil van Dijk, obviously. Joel Matip will be a leader in this squad, whether we think of him as one or not. In terms of the midfield, there's no real leadership in the midfield. That's the biggest concern for me. But then I don't think there would have been on a game-by-game basis anyway, with Henderson there, if he's not starting every single game. So it's a difficult one, of course, but one thing I will say, and I think this is true, and it's only a guess, of course, but Liverpool are full of captains. Liverpool have got players of the right age to be leaders. Liverpool won't release him if they don't think they've got enough leaders. And I think because of the trust that Jurgen has in his players, rightly or wrongly, he'll believe that he's got the right leaders at the football club.